welcome to the Bella Grayce Podcast, where we are empowering you to find the beautiful grace found in recovering your authentic self. And this season, we're doing that by sharing stories of people who have found grace, found recovery, and who are living a sober lifestyle that they love. And today, we welcome my friend Caroline to the show. Good morning. I'm so glad you're here. We're up here, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
We are. We're making it.
We are. Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get to this point in life? What was it like growing up as you? Tell us all the things.
Well, I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been such an inspiration to hear the stories that have come through, and then just meeting you and having someone to be able to explain all of this, to talk about, and you understand, and just the whole podcast has been so enlightening to me. It's just an honor to be here. But so I am originally from Mexico City. My parents met in Cancun. So my dad's from the United States. My mom's from Mexico. And I grew up in Mexico until I was about 5 years old. Moved to the U.S., straight to Alabama, Roll Tide, and just grew up in Alabama, being this mixed, half Hispanic, half white, just little girl who was kind of confused a lot in her life. Was from a divorced family. My parents ended up getting divorced at an early age. I was in 2nd to 3rd grade. So life's been a little crazy.
Yeah.
It's been a roller coaster. So from then to now, I definitely have found grace. I definitely have found peace. But it's been a journey. And I'm just thankful to have a place to kind of share that right now. Yeah. So I'll start off. I got to Alabama. I was in high school. I was really plugged into church. I've been in church my whole life. And so I was sober, middle school, most of my high school years. I struggled with other things, but sobriety wasn't really something I struggled with until I guess I was about 17, 18 years old, kind of at the end of high school. And obviously, drinking started. And then I was introduced to marijuana, weed, all the things, smoking-wise. Mm-hmm. And I unfortunately fell in love. A very toxic love, we could call it. With someone who struggled with anxiety and depression. When I got to smoking, I was like, oh my gosh, this brings so much peace, da-da-da. And lo and behold, I didn't realize that those highs could turn into quick lows real quick. Mm-hmm. And on the way here, I actually had that thought. I was in the car and I was thinking, what's something I really want to say that has to do with sobriety and just being under the influence. And it was you're going to think the highs are really high and they're great and they're exciting and fun, but expect those lows to hit really quick.
Yeah.
Or really unexpectedly. And so that was just a thought I had when I was driving on the way here. But yeah, I ended up graduating high school and went to community college where I was working at a restaurant and going to school. And I think you and Joe hit on this, but working at restaurants and just that server life, a lot of drinking comes into that. You're working with bartenders. It was not a very healthy scene for a college student, in my opinion, because I was trying to study, but I also wanted to be cool and be in with the older people. And so I was, drinking, smoking, going out late, partying, this and that. And that's when I got into music festivals. That's when I got drawn into the toxic, and I'll expose it, the toxic culture of music festivals. And people can agree or disagree, but if you are not strong-minded, those festivals will eat you alive.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I got into festivals. I love electronic music. I love dancing. I feel like being Latin, it's in my blood.
We love to dance.
I love dancing. I love music. I love people. I love being around people. I'm a social person. Yeah. So I got drawn into the music festival scene, and right away started with the drugs, with Molly, the acid, the this, the that. And it was just like, that's what we do. Yeah. That was our escape. It's like we went to a festival, all my friends, we got back to work, school, saved up our money, went to another one. Yep. Saved up our money, went to another. And it was just this cycle for years. I would say it was about 2 or 3 years where it was nonstop. And it was great. Like I said, the highs were great. The excitement, the fun, the this, but those were some of my darkest times that truly I still have a hard time thinking about. The lows that came from those 4 years, from when I was 20 to about 25. Yeah. So it was really difficult. It looked great on Instagram. Right. The videos. Yeah. The outfits. Videos. Yeah. It was great. But secretly it wasn't.
It wasn't. And those party drugs have some of the worst effects on your mental health when you come down from them. Because they increase the dopamine, the serotonin so much that when you come down, it's just like a black hole of depression.
Oh, it's so bad. Yeah. And people don't want to talk about it because they think the high overrides it. Yeah. And then people are like, oh, well, that's just what happens, but it goes away or whatever. But it's like, does it? No. But you're just in a cycle again. Yeah. And
it takes years. I don't even remember the number, but it takes years for the little tiny holes in your brain that those drugs cause to regenerate themselves. Like, it takes forever.
I'm just going to be honest. I feel like I still have holes. Yeah. I was just talking to you earlier. Like, I feel scatterbrained still as an adult. I mean, I'm now 30, saying it with confidence. I'm 30. Be proud. I'm 30, proud. Somebody, my friend Jance, on my birthday, she was like 30, thriving, and something else. I already forgot. See, I'm that memory. No, but yeah, like I'm more than 7 years from doing those drugs, and I'm still struggling with some effects of them, like the scatterbrain, the lingering anxiety. Like, I just feel like it had long-term effects. Yeah. And I think if I could talk to my younger self, I would say that, like, you're getting all this euphoria now, but like, I promise you have so much more ahead of you that this is not worth it. So to anyone out there struggling with that, like, you still can stop and start some sort of recovery, because I think your future is worth so much more. Yeah. For sure. But yeah, so that whole festival scene, like I said, I regret it, but I don't regret it, because I think I had to go through that at that time to be able to have, like I said, this future now. Like, it is what it is. It happened. I can't change it. But during those times, not only was I doing the festival party favors, but I was also heavily drinking with, again, those worker people that I was with the restaurant, and weed controlled my life at that point in my life. In my college years, weed was like, all right, I'm going to study, I'm going to get everything done, and I'm going to go home and get baked. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to study, and then I'm going to go home and get baked. Like, there was nothing else to work for. Yeah. And so it was exhausting. Mm-hmm. It was truly exhausting. I lost a lot of hair during that time. I just remember, like, wads coming out. Masking the anxiety with all of that was just, like I said, it wasn't bringing any real true peace. Yeah. It was fake peace. Mm-hmm. Luckily, like I said, I've always been plugged in with my relationship with the Lord. And at this time, I was for sure idolizing other things. Yeah. But always still, like, secretly praying on the bathroom floor, crying when those lows came. You know what I mean? And so through all that, I ended up meeting this man that I end up being with for 6 years. And I ended up meeting him, moving in with him, falling in love, all the things. And I had stopped doing the hardcore party favors, but I was still smoking a lot of weed. Yeah. the reason why I stopped doing all those party favors was because I ended up getting pretty addicted and had a really bad come down. And it was to the point where, like, I was like, I can't live. And I feel like I'm rushing through this moment and I need to slow down because this is a really pivotal moment.
Yes.
I'm like nonchalantly like, all right, this happened, I moved on. But I feel like the Holy Spirit just said, like, you need to slow down. You need to reverse.
Let's sit in this moment.
So I'm going to reverse. I tell my students, let's reverse, and I do this like, whoop. All right, we're back.
We're back.
Before I met my 6-year relationship, I was partying in Mexico where my family lives, and had just gotten back from a festival called Tomorrow World where they did it in Atlanta, Georgia. Flew back to Mexico, had just done all the favors for 6 days in a row.
Yeah.
Came back to Mexico, cold turkey, and got extremely sick, vomiting, fevers. My body was just beyond exhausted.
Yeah. And in complete withdrawal.
And I don't want to get emotional because it was a depth that brought me back up, but like it was really hard.
Yeah.
And I just remember being with my aunt and grandma in Mexico and just looking at them and saying, I just did a lot of drugs and I need help because I'm about to get really sick. And thankfully, they were there for me. My grandma was there for me. They helped me. I ended up going to a little ER to get a little IV. Like, you know, they were really supportive. And I just remember being on my grandma's bathroom floor and just telling, like, the Lord, like, I don't know how I got here, but I know I can't stay here, and I feel like I want to die. And I just remember asking him, like, can you please just come get me? Like, I can't. Like, what have I done with my life? Like, what? It was a moment of complete darkness.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the people listening here have had any encounters with the Holy Spirit, but in that bathroom floor, like, the flood of the Spirit came in, and I just wept and just cried and felt like a blanket was, like, surrounding me, like that tightness.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew, like, no, like, he's still here. I can still move on. There still can be redemption.
Yeah.
And I just remember my brother, like, coming in, seeing me on the floor and just holding me as well. Ended up buying my plane ticket to come back to the U.S. and applied to go to my big university because I had dropped out of school for a couple months to party and do all the things. Mm-hmm. And once I got back to Alabama, the Lord immediately, it was like a switch. I got accepted into college. I got grant money that I didn't have to pay back. I got my job back, that, like, everything just started lining up.
Yeah.
And then I was able to go into college, start fresh. And at the time I was still smoking weed. Weed was something that I'd never
gave up.
No, I was like, but like I said, weed was, it had control of me for a long time.
Yeah. Always in the background.
Yes, it was like, I'm not giving that up.
Yeah.
I'll give up whatever, but I wasn't going to give that up. Because again, I was like, no, this brings me so much peace. I don't have anxiety. Like all the excuses.
Yeah.
To tell myself why it was needed. Mm-hmm. And so I'm back in school. I'm in school. I'm studying, working, smoking weed, and then I go to that music festival. Mm-hmm. And that's where I met my 6-year relationship. And then from then, I wasn't doing hardcore drugs anymore. I was just smoking weed and drinking. And I ended up going to my first sober festival, I want to say it was like May 2017, where I say sober, but I was still smoking weed.
Right.
That was me saying sober.
I know we like justify our behavior because
I'm still doing it now, y'all. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, we're like, well, at least I wasn't doing XYZ.
Yeah, I think just because of how much destruction those other party favors brought, that's what in my mind I was thinking.
Yeah, and you couldn't see yet what
Right.
weed and alcohol were doing in your life.
Yes.
At this point, they were still your friends.
Yes. And I think because I was around so many people, and this is why influence is such a big deal when you're trying to get into recovery, or because those influences were saying like, oh yeah, it's great that you don't like do Molly and this and that anymore, and like, but let's still smoke weed together. Like,
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like, oh, my friends, they're still smoking and drinking. They don't do hardcore drugs. I'm okay too. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, we're okay. But it wasn't. So yeah, it just, I feel like I was going and then I was back down. I was going like that roller coaster. Like, I was free from the party favors. I was still smoking weed. I'm free. I'm still drinking. So at that point, this is around 2016. I'm still up and down.
Yeah.
And fast forward to September 21. Yes.
Okay. Big time jump.
So
here, let me move.
I feel like it was kind of boring. Not boring, but my life from, you don't want to hear about my love story with my ex. We're not going there. Because it was chill. It was great. I ended up going to school. I graduated, top of my class, president of the Honor Society for Education. Like I said, the Lord, when you step into obedience, the Lord will bless you. Yeah. There's freedom, there's blessing, and I truly believe the Lord was slowly opening the doors he had for me as soon as I said yes to him. Mm-hmm. So leaving the festival scene, leaving the party favors, all of that ended up bringing me into college. I focused, boom, 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 all these things happened. I started making great grades. Like I said, top of my class, honor society, this and that, things that I couldn't believe, things that I couldn't explain. How I got pushed to teaching, education, things that I still to this day, I'm like, okay, at what point did this happen? Or like, how did that? Like, it was very confusing at times, but I knew it was the Lord the whole time. So I graduate. It's 2019. My ex is like, I want to get a job in Dallas. Are you down to move? And I was like, yes, like, let's get out of here. With him, we talked about marriage. Like, he was the love of my life. So I was like, yes, let's go. Let's move. Like, it's time. Yeah. I remember my mom telling him, if you take her, my mom's Hispanic. He was like, if you take her, you can't bring her back. So
that's what my brother told my husband at the wedding. She's yours now.
Mm-hmm. And my mom was not for me leaving because she wanted me to have a ring. She wanted there to be a commitment. She's wise. Mm-hmm. She knew, and I stubbornly and blinded by love was like, no, I'm going, like, I'm young, like, whatever. So he's like, yes, like, I won't bring her back, whatever. So then we come here, and everything was great. I ended up getting a job. I got my first teaching job. At this point, I was drinking very minimally because we didn't really have friends here to be social like that, I guess. But we were still heavily smoking, both of us. I have a lot of I deal with anxiety a lot, so smoking to me was always my go-to. I always said like, oh, like, I don't want to get prescriptive pills. I feel like smoking is more natural. So that's where my mind went the whole time.
We justify what we want.
Yeah.
By any means necessary.
Mm-hmm. So that was me like, oh, it's natural.
Yeah.
Let's just stick to this. Mm-hmm. Instead of, hey, maybe I should get into therapy.
Maybe I should figure this out.
Or, hey, maybe I should pray more, open my Bible, figure out what the Lord's trying to tell me, or this or that. Yeah, I was blind. I was justifying all the things. But yeah, so everything was great. For me, honestly, the COVID year was boring. Yeah. I don't want to sit here and talk about the trauma of school that happened. It is what it is. Online school, I teach low-income students, so it was honestly an S show.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't but whatever, we got through it. And honestly, my when we were all at home, that part was pretty boring for me. We just smoked a lot and this and that. We had a lot of paranoia of people getting sick and dying, just like I'm sure everyone else did. But other than that, I wouldn't say that like my addiction or anything got worse. If anything, like it stayed. I was heavily smoking for a long time, so it kind of was the same.
Yeah.
We had more anxiety and stuff because of the pandemic and just losing. My mom got it twice, and obviously I was scared that she would die and all of that, but she survived and God was good and sustained her. But yeah, and then like I said the word was with that love of my life because September 2021, everything hit the fan. I wrote an Instagram post, and I kind of want to pull it up so I can read it. Would that be all right?
Go for it. Yes, let's do it.
Because I feel like this Instagram post could describe what a lot of people feel, especially when they're really happy with their life and fearing the loss of everything that they have. So I wrote, and this is just a glimpse of everything that happened to me that month. You wake up and you realize your life is almost perfect. You thank God and you appreciate the things around you, and you wonder if it's too good to be true. You begin to fear losing everything that you love. And then time goes on and it happens. The floor is gone and you fall into a hole you never saw yourself in. Betrayal, abandonment, and grief all rush in like a tsunami into your life. You wonder how anyone would understand what happened or how it happened, because really you don't even know. How do you face the world as this newly destroyed person? Then it happens. God reaches down and whispers to you that you're not destroyed and that you are being refined like a diamond. And if anyone knows anything about diamonds, they basically have to be destroyed before they can be the beautiful, beautiful and wanted material. And then, so I said, you're being refined like a diamond, back to purity. I won't understand until I get to heaven, but I know I can move forward because the Lord is with me and I am the daughter of the King. And so writing all that stuff, I was in a really confused time because I truly felt like me and this man were going to get married, like completely blindsided to him leaving me September 2021. Our pet also had passed away weeks before he left me. When I say I was completely destroyed, I was completely destroyed. And I have no family here in Texas. Like I told you, my mom said, if you take her, like, this is you making a life with her. Like,
yeah.
And so this man leaves me, moves to California, like a day or two after I come home from school, he's gone. We had a place together, bills together, all the things. So here I am in the middle of the school, just starting the school year.
Yeah.
With now, I feel like a weight that I couldn't hold on top of me. And that's when everything got worse. My drinking started again because I was suffocating.
Yeah.
What do you do when you can't breathe and you want to die?
Yeah.
You literally crawl to the first thing that is going to bring you a moment of peace. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did. And at that time, I had some close friends here in Dallas who were not, I wouldn't say like encouraging, help me find the right word, but would be like, come smoke or let's drink wine. Like they were comforting me. They were comforting me in things they didn't realize were hurting me.
Yeah, they were comforting you the best way they knew how.
Yes.
And when we're in crisis mode, we revert back to our most basic training. And for a lot of us, our most basic training says wine, weed, whatever our comfort is, that's what we turn to.
Yeah. So those friends, I'm thankful for them because if I mean, there were times when I was alone in that apartment where he left me, where I was back like in my grandma's bathroom floor.
Yeah. Wanting to die.
Yeah.
Not wanting to live.
Just take me.
Yeah.
What am I worth in this moment? The rest of I've lost everything.
Yeah.
Who am I? What am I doing here? I wasn't enough to be loved. Like what? Like I was drowning. To the point of, I think Jesus said it. I feel like I'm drowning to the point of sorrow. Like it was that I didn't know what to do. I was so lost. So like I said, I was with those friends, started heavily drinking again, smoking out of control. And then I would say that was September. Around November, December, that's when I started becoming pretty good friends with Tracy. Mm-hmm. And we went to like a singles night or a worship night together. And I feel like the Lord, he has this like hold on me where he allows me to go through these things, but then draws me back in, allows me and then draws me back in. Like he really won't leave or forsake me, but I had to go through this.
Yeah.
And now being on the other side, I am completely aware of the reason. I'll get to that. But so Tracy, and then I met you, and I can't remember the exact month I met you. I want to say it was like February.
It was the beginning of
March.
2022.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was February or March.
Right. And before I met you, Christmas time was around, Christmas 2021. I went back home to Alabama. I was drinking out of control. And when I say, for me, that's more like binge drinking. I really like how you described that in your podcast last week. Like there's a difference between like drinking every day versus like the binge drinking.
Yeah.
And both of them can be just as harmful. And so for me, it was binge drinking because I still had to go to work. And I wasn't going to lose my job. Like my job is everything to me. Like, but the weekend came and my life was not everything to me. I could destroy that and it'd be fine, but I was not going to destroy my career.
Wow.
So
that's powerful.
How that happened, I'm not sure. But yeah, I was like, I'm not destroying my career.
Yeah.
I'm sober at school, giving my students 120. I mean, I was doing the best teaching I had ever done during that time. And I think it was because I was like, if my mind can go here to my students and work, I don't have to think about what's going on in my personal life.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go home and be alone. So I was staying at school late, working, creating, my job exploded. Yeah. I was on my game.
Yeah. It was your coping mechanism.
It's wild.
It was the one thing you could control.
Yeah.
So you poured everything into controlling that.
And I remember, well, I'll get to that at the end of the year. My principal says something, and I actually bring this up to him. But yeah, so I go home for Christmas. My mom knows that I'm not okay, but because we're Hispanic and alcohol is somehow in just us.
Yeah.
For Christmas, I get a bottle, or my birthday is December 8th, so we celebrate my birthday, my stepdad's birthday, right before Christmas.
Okay.
So one of my gifts was a bottle of 1800 Don Julio, or Don Julio Black.
Yeah. The good stuff. The good tequila.
So within like 2 days, I'm with friends from back home, a guy that I went to middle school with that wanted to hang out. We're just drinking. Like, it was just day and day and day, waking up, doing it again. I was like, I felt like I was in college again.
Yeah.
I was like, what is happening? And yeah, so I come back home and I'm flooded with all these other issues now, like my worth, and I'm over here like being on Hinge now, the needing something else. The alcohol was not cutting it. The weed was not cutting it. So now I'm like, okay, like now I need attention from men.
Yeah.
So now I'm just all in a whirlwind of blindness, confusion, looking for anything to bring me some sort of peace.
Yeah.
Because of the grief I was dealing with from my ex.
And to make you feel valued.
Literally anything.
Yeah. Because your ex leaving you, and I don't know if Anyway, I'm just going to say it.
Say it.
Your ex leaving you is a lot like when your dad left you.
Yeah.
When you were a kid.
Right.
And
that the person who said or was supposed to love you and protect you and be there can just so easily walk away.
And I know a lot of your story, but I know how much you struggled with self-worth.
Yeah.
And feeling wanted, feeling valued.
Yeah.
And so maybe the dating apps gave you some sort of...
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think a lot of girls can relate. Like, we want to be told we're beautiful.
Yeah.
We want a man to take time to plan something, come see us. Like, that's also like a little high. Like, I'll just say it right now. I'm not embarrassed to say it. Like, that's what was happening. Like, so yeah, like I was drinking and just not going in the right way. And luckily, the Lord knew exactly what I needed, and that was community within church. Mm-hmm. So thankful for our church and the way they run their community, because that's when the Connect group with Tracy started. Mm-hmm. I knew that I needed to be with girls. The idea with me and Tracy's group was that we wanted women to be able to have a safe place to talk, to just be together and not feel judged, or to have a place to every week go and kind of be like, I'm glad to be here with y'all. Just a breath of fresh air. And so that's when I met you. And I'm curious, I would like to know kind of like your perspective on what it was like meeting me in those kind of months.
So
what was like an outsider looking in? What was that like?
When I first met you, and you have to know that I'm very perceptive.
Yeah.
And I could usually see a couple layers deeper than the normal person can.
That's a gift.
Yeah. And so when I met you, I knew you were hungry for more than what you had going on.
Yeah.
I knew that you were seeking more and that you needed more, because the first day we met, I shared my story with you, and you were so leaned in to like, oh my gosh, how did you get to where you are? Like, how did you overcome all this? And I could see the need in you. On the outside, you appeared happy and joyful and bouncy and just...
Which I feel like is who I am.
It is. You love to love people, and you love to serve, and you love to just pour out on people, and you were trying. But you couldn't at that point.
No.
You were so dry. Like, your cup was completely dry. And you were going through the motions and trying to be who you are.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't. It was a shell of a person.
For sure.
And it took a while for you to open up to me and share everything. And then we had a few therapy sessions on the couch.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll say that it was needed. Like I said, I had I have two friendships. The friends that were helping in the way they knew they could, with asking to hang out and smoking and going out, whatever. And then it was like I met you. And then you were the type of friend who saw me deeper, who also took the time to invest in my emotions and sit with me and tell me the truths, knowing that they're going to be painful, but it was what I needed. Yeah. It was. And I feel like if it wasn't for you, I don't know who would have guided me with that wisdom. Like, I would have just kept going.
Yeah.
I would have kept drinking, kept looking for guys for attention, kept trying to text my ex, kept looking for him, I feel like banging my head against the wall.
Yeah, and you did.
Banging my head against the wall.
I think it's important to let people know, though, that it wasn't instant. Mm-mm. It didn't happen the first time we talked about it. There were, like, multiple times when I was like, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't send that text.
I remember one time we were at coffee and you, Tracy, and someone else, they were like, you have 2 days to send this text to stop this. And then we're going to text you in 2 days and see if you did it. And I was like, all right, I'm going to put a timer on my phone. And so I think that accountability was everything. I don't think there are words that I could truly put out of the gratitude.
No.
And just what you and Tracy and the people that were truly trying to get me out of that awful time, that took the time to talk to me, get to know me deeper, and truly mentor me out of it. Because that changed everything. Because come May, fast forward, I met you in February. Come May, that's when I said no. I'm done with the guys. Mm-hmm. And I'm not ashamed to say this, but the end of this month is my 1 year of abstinence. And I am just so beyond grateful that I am here. I got to that place. And I stopped that.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that, oh my gosh, there's this pressure to stop everything at once.
Yeah, no.
But I think for me, it was like an onion. I had to stop this. Okay, take a breather, move forward, keep talking to friends, keep being plugged in community. Okay, now this. And it was just like a stepping situation where it didn't all happen at once.
Yeah.
Come summer, I was like, I need to do something else. I felt the Lord tell me, you're going to go on a missions trip.
Yeah.
You're going to go to Guatemala with your church. And I was like over the moon thinking, yes, this is exactly what I need. I've always wanted to go on a missions trip. It was my dream. And then everything just started happening. The money came in. People donated. I ended up donating my whole tax return. I was like, I don't need this money. It's for the Lord. So I made, all my payments, everything. And the waiting period, though, from end of May to the mission trip, which was at the end of July, that started getting a little dark because I was stepping into obedience. So then I spiritually got attacked in other ways with my ex. He kept telling me he was coming back. Mm-hmm. He wanted to see me, but then he would ghost me. He wouldn't answer my phone calls. So that's when I got into therapy. I said, this is it. I got to talk to someone. Yeah. So I got into therapy that summer 2022. And therapy has been amazing. Yeah. Shout out to Susan. Therapy is, I'm in Christian therapy. And gosh, that first session, I couldn't even talk. I was crying so hard. And then she just poured into me. When you said my cup was dry, this woman declared so much scripture over me and told me exactly who God said I was, who I am, my worth, all the things. And it was just oh my gosh, other than you, and some other people here and there at church, I never had somebody look into my soul and really say those things to me, invest in me that way. Starting therapy, being plugged into community, it was really helpful. But that summer I was still drinking.
I remember
I was still smoking.
You were really nervous about going on a mission trip and not being able to smoke, having to be sober.
Yeah, I was worried about it because I knew I'd withdrawn from weed before.
Yeah.
People always say oh no, weed's not addicting. You don't really withdraw from it.
That's crap.
That's such a load of BS because I used to smoke wax.
Yeah.
The dab pens. Mm-hmm. Wax is heavy THC. Yeah. And I remember stopping that because the guy didn't have it anymore or whatever reason.
Lack of supply.
And I remember vomiting, loss of appetite, nausea, headaches, anxiety. I personally had withdrawn from THC multiple times. So I was afraid of that. Mm-hmm. And so I just remember it was July 4th weekend and my friends who are my other friends who I drink with or smoke with, we went to a 4th of July thing on Sunday the 3rd, and I got so wasted, just beyond. That I hadn't been that drunk in months, and I think it's because we mixed liquor.
Yeah.
And for that long of a period of time, I got extremely sick in the middle of the night that night. My friends had to help me. I was like, I can't be alone or I might choke and die on if I vomit while no one's here. Like, it was that bad. And then the next day, my mom actually flew into Dallas because she was going to spend the week before I went on my mission trip with me to help me pack and prepare and just spend time together.
Yeah.
And it was that Monday where I was like, no, this is it.
Yeah.
I'm not stepping into something God's called me to do. Hi, with John. I'm not doing that.
Ankle.
Oh yeah. I was like, I'm not doing that. What has this brought me?
Yeah.
It has brought me nothing. And I'm the kind of person that when I'm done, I can be done, but I have to get to that to that point. I gotta get to this, like, I don't know what it is, but like once I'm there, it's over.
Yeah. You can kid yourself and be like, yeah, I want to stop. But once you're there and you have it in your soul, you're done. You're done. Yeah.
And so that week, my mom, I didn't smoke that week. That was my first week because they told us on the training, like, you don't drink days before you go on this mission trip. The elevation is going to dehydrate us, this. So I was like, oh my gosh, like, I want to be on my top game. I had been training for this by walking like long periods of time in the sun. I knew like what we were about to go. We were going to go build a house in Guatemala. And Guatemala has extremely high elevation, and they had warned us about dehydration and just the amount of physical work to build a house. I mean,
like, elevation sickness is no joke.
No, like, I've never built a house.
Yeah.
I don't know how to put up curtains. Like, I use my air fryer for everything. Like, I don't naturally know how to do these things.
Yeah.
I'm a hard worker. I have determination. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. But physically, I was like, this is not me. I'm not a worker with my body. I work with my mind all day. So I was like, I'm going to train. I'm going to train. This week, me and my mom are going to go on long walks. Like, I'm going to hydrate, all the things. And that was the week that I sobered up, hydrated, but did feel pretty depressed.
Yeah.
The depression was there.
Yeah.
My depression and my anxiety take turns.
Yeah.
They're never here at the same time.
It's like, okay, tag team, your turn. Tag team, your turn.
I'm like, I'd rather y'all be here at the same time, but then leave together.
Yeah.
Like, can y'all leave together,
away.
please? But no, they tag team. And I've talked to my doctor now about all of that, and luckily now I do have prescribed anxiety medicine that I use when needed.
Yeah.
And so luckily, I don't need it often, and but I do have that in case of emergencies, which is nice because I felt better. The thing that I never wanted to do, I ended up doing because I felt like, no, if my doctor's talking to me about this, if this is something that I know I can take when needed, then I can do that versus like, no, it's the weed. It's natural.
Yeah.
I can do it. No.
Yeah.
So
there's such a stigma around anxiety, depression, like needing meds. Sometimes you just need some meds.
Right.
Like, it's not...
Or just to take that risk of, hey, not risk, but the first step to, hey, I'm going to go talk to a professional. Hey, I'm going to just ask these questions at the doctor.
Because it's not a moral failing.
No.
There's nothing wrong with you.
No.
It is a chemical imbalance in your brain.
Right.
Like, we don't shame people for having diabetes or cancer or whatever. So why do we shame people for having mental health issues?
Right.
It's the same thing.
I agree. And I think with mental health, it's like you have to take that first step. You have to tell somebody, number one, hey, I'm struggling with this.
Yeah.
And then you got to be like, okay, now what do I do?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to go talk to my doctor about it. And I highly suggest people kind of like write down like when their anxiety happens, what could maybe trigger it, and just kind of journal. Because for me, like, I love telling my doctor everything and not holding back, because I feel like that helps them. Okay, do you have like chronic anxiety, or is it just triggered? And then that way they can figure out meds or other steps. So I have come and go anxiety. So it comes and goes. So I don't need my medicine all the time, but it's there in case of an emergency, versus me being like, oh my gosh, let me text my friends, like, I need to go smoke a blunt. No, I don't need that. I can go on a long walk and then take a little bit of my medicine to calmly make me go to sleep. There's a different route now, and I'm thankful for that. My missions trip was completely life-changing. What God did on that trip, there's so many things I can't put into words. Like,
you came back a totally different person. You were the person that I met that first day, but full. Like pouring over full. It was like you were finally living your true self, and you were no longer this shell of yourself. Like it was beaming out of you.
I mean, it was the Lord. It was, again, how do you explain that?
Yeah.
How do you explain, I was dying 1 week. I go do this mission trip for the Lord. I fully go in. Something beyond me spiritual happens. And then I come back and I'm this different there's no explanation. And so on that mission trip, this was going to be like my big thing I wanted to share to people, is the word obedience kept coming up. And one of our lead pastors there, we prayed one night and she said, America, like, the Lord needs you to step into your obedience. Mm-hmm. He needs you to go where he's called you to be, no matter what your flesh, no matter what you want, like, you need to step into it. And I was like, okay, like, I'll do it. Like, I'll do anything. Like, I'll do anything. So then I, like, vowed to it. I was like, yes, like, I'm doing it, whatever. And then that's when everything happened. The day we were pouring concrete for the house, I had this, like, slow-mo moment where I looked up and everyone had, like, a job to do. Like, people were, like, pouring in buckets, grabbing the gravel. It was like this, people were moving everywhere, but in slow motion. And it was like that blanket again that I talked about earlier, the Holy Spirit. Like, the blanket was there, the comfort. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, I'll do anything for you. Like, look at what you're doing. Like, I can't even explain it, what happened that day, but that was, like, the day that I feel like I was delivered in some way. And then that was the day where I was like, I only want to serve you the rest of my life. Like, I'm done with all the other idols I've been worshiping. Yeah. And then I came back. I actually ended up getting COVID the last day.
She can't die over there.
Oh, I almost died. Oh my gosh, it was so bad.
I was so worried. I was telling my husband.
I feel like I didn't really tell people how bad it was. Yeah. I didn't even tell my mom how bad it was because I was terrified myself. But yeah, I got COVID the very last day we were there, to the point where, like, I couldn't walk, I couldn't breathe, I was vomiting. So me and this other girl got left there. Yeah. And everyone else left. And we just got left at the hotel. And I remember Googling hospitals in Antigua. And they all had like 2.5, 3 stars.
Yeah. You're like,
and I said, this is it. I'm going to die here. But I was like, whatever. Like, we did the missions.
Yeah.
I'm going to heaven.
Okay. Like, you got it.
I accepted it. I was like, it's cool. Like, I didn't want to say bye to my mom, and I didn't want to freak her out. So, like I said, I didn't really tell her how bad I was sick-wise. Luckily, our church has a church there, so people did deliver supplies, Pedialytes, thermometer, all the things, food. So it wasn't like we had to go out. Physically, I couldn't move, to be honest.
So you weren't totally alone. You had our church community.
Yes,
there.
The church community did deliver things. It was great. And then Andy, who's now one of my best friends, she tested positive too, but she wasn't as sick as I was. But I'm just sorry that you got sick, Andy, but I'm thankful that you stayed with me, because I would...
Yeah, you would have been, like, spazzing out.
I don't know what would have happened if I would have been by myself.
Yeah.
Like, Andy, helped me.
Yeah.
Like, helped me while I walked. Yeah. Like, brought me things. Like, I don't know what would have happened, but yeah. So then 2 days later, we come back. Honestly, I was still really sick, but I took like 15 to 2,000 milligrams of Tylenol.
Yeah.
To fly back, and I didn't have a fever because of all the Tylenol. I really did have a fever, and I'm sorry to all the people that were probably like, why did you travel? But I was not in a great place.
Yeah.
I needed to come back to the U.S. I think everybody would have done the same thing. I needed to be back here in case.
It's scary.
It was terrifying.
Yeah. Being in another country.
I had my mom, like me and my mom are extremely close. Like I don't care if I can't walk. I'm getting on that plane and I'm coming to the U.S. Like, I had to come back. So I did come back, and I had to be quarantined because, like I said, I was really sick. Like, I couldn't keep my eyes open. COVID fatigue is like,
It's no joke. Yeah.
It's not regular fatigue.
No. It's the one.
It's like narcolepsy. Like, you're literally passing out.
Yeah. It's one of the only symptoms I had, and it was awful. Like, yeah, I would be working, and then all of a sudden, I would just put my head back, and I was out.
It's so weird. And then I ended up, my fevers, they never were going away. And so it was really hard the days afterward, because I was like, gosh, I just came off this spiritual high. Like, I was with the Lord like this. And then I was like, why am I so sick now? Like, I was so confused on how that happened. Now I'm sick. Like, I wanted to go out into the world and scream and go be social and show everyone, like, all the things. And God was like, nope.
Slow your roll.
I need you to be alone with me some more.
Yeah.
And so,
so did you go back to smoking after you got back from your mission trip?
So that I got back on Wednesday. Friday, I had extreme nausea with my fever. I felt like I was dying again. Yeah. So I smoked that day, and I was actually watching an Isaiah Zaldazar YouTube video. He's a Deliverance pastor. And people in the comments were saying, like, is weed okay? Like, what does God say about weed? Da da da. And then he, like, went in on spiritual warfare and how being under the influence opens spiritual doors for demonic principalities to come in, or this or that. And I was sitting there, and I was just like, oh my God, like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I have control whether I let things that are going to cause me anxiety. Like, it was like this, like, light bulb turned on.
Yeah.
And believe me or not, this story seems so far-fetched. People won't believe it. But this is what happened in my bedroom that day. I've got the bong in my hand. I'm watching this video. And the Holy Spirit blows in again. And he's like, I said to stay with me. Like, what are you doing? And then I'm like kind of panicking in my room, and then I feel this other presence that's laughing at me. And I knew it was the enemy. I knew he was like, he said, you love God, look what you did, and look what you're doing now, and you come back at home. Like, and that was the moment where I was like, this is not, no.
Yeah.
I will not let you laugh at me. I'm not going to let you control my life. Like, the Lord is where I'm going. And so God just said, like, look at me, like, stay with me. Yeah. And that was the day where I threw my bong in the trash. I threw the weed away. And after that moment happened, I was on the floor crying for hours. And a lot of people say that when you get delivered, physically, things have to come out of you. Some people vomit. Some people cry for a long time, sweating. Like, something happens. Your body just can't take it. Yeah. Like, it's... And so I bawled for hours, still having COVID. Like, I was still dying all the ways, dying to my flesh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dying to the ways of the world. Yeah. Dying to the spiritual stronghold that had me. And I was freed that day. Yeah. It was just life-changing. Yeah. And now I'm like, okay, now I know why the Lord gave me COVID. Yeah. Because I needed to be at home those days.
Yeah.
Because what would have happened? I would have came back on this high, saw my friends. I would have probably drank it. I needed to be alone those days. I ended up being alone at my house for 2 weeks because I was still fevering 2 weeks after I got back. I had COVID for 2 weeks with fevers. And once I got better, that's when I came back into the world.
Yeah.
And my life just drastically changed. I didn't have depression anymore. I was genuinely happy.
Yeah.
I met the most amazing people on the missions trip who supported me with every single thing. I did not feel judged. I mean, I made over 10 best friends on this missions trip.
And they're amazing people.
Oh my gosh.
Met them. Yeah.
They changed my life. I mean, gosh, coming out of that COVID isolation, and I started a connect group with one of my best friends, Mina, serving the homeless here. Mm-hmm. People came. It was life-changing. Started, obviously, hanging out with you again, all the things. Met an incredible woman, Ivy. Ivy, I love you.
Ivy's the best. I knew I should have put tissues on the table
for
this talk.
But
I forgot to grab them, so.
And Andy, I mean, Kennedy, Amanda Case, I mean, all these people that the Lord knew I needed.
Yeah.
And it was just like what had been taken from me, my ex, my pet, didn't even compare to what God could refill.
Yeah.
He restored beyond what we could even imagine.
Yeah.
And so, I life literally changed to the point of freedom beyond anything I could think of.
Yeah.
And so that obedience, the deliverance that happened, all of it just changed my life and started the school year fresh. Obviously, there were issues at school, regular issues that happened with school, but the fall of 2022 was beautiful for me.
Yeah.
It was meeting Joanna was a part of that group. She changed my life beyond reasoning. Joanna, I love you. I'm so thankful for you. Mina, I love you. All these people, they just held me in ways I never knew I needed to be held and supported. And because of those people, because of the grace of God, because of my obedience, everyone had a part to play.
Yeah. Every little piece.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was like a puzzle that finally came together.
Yeah.
And then, I do want to say I did end up relapsing. I smoked January 2023.
Yeah.
And it was whatever. It was, I smoked with my friend, who's not part of that group.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think those friends, they do what they think can bring comfort and joy. Mm-hmm. And so
we do the best with what we have.
Yeah.
And that includes the way we comfort our friends, the way we provide for our friends.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that there's another way.
Right.
And I think when you and I met and you started to see me living a sober life, that you were like, oh, it can be fun. Like
Teresa's this cool without anything.
Because that was really like
what? People can be this cool and not be high. We can laugh and be silly and have deep conversations without being high or drunk. Like, I lived for that.
Yeah.
I was hungry for that. I thirsted for genuine people who were sober and could talk about deep situations and it be thrilling.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you would ask me all the time, like, do you not miss it? Or like, how do you do it? So I think that was like, I came into your life to show you that there was another way. But after you stopped smoking, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. Like, there was a point where you really struggled with losing your other friends.
Yeah, it was.
Did that lead to you smoking in January? Because I know you were struggling with it. Was it the fall, the summer?
It was around, I would say it was around Thanksgiving, like end of October.
Yeah. It was still hot out because we went for a walk.
Yeah, it was around October, I want to say, because, you know, my best friend, she lives in my apartment complex, and my other friends also live close, and they're smokers, they're drinkers, and I love them.
Yeah.
I truly love them for who they are and see them as these beautiful women who I genuinely love with all my heart. But I knew that God was like, that's not who you are.
Yeah.
And I was still struggling with like, no, but I want to be with them.
Yeah.
No, but I can't be around that. No, but I want to be like, and it was just this like missing that, grieving the loss of
that friendship, that person.
Yes, and knowing I can't text her and be like, hey, let's smoke after a long, hard day at work.
Yeah.
And being like, I can't text her and say that, therefore I won't see her. And then it was like, wait, though, like, I want to see her. Mm-hmm. So then, like, should I smoke just so I can see my friend? Like, and it was just, like, this constant battle. And I remember one morning I was in my quiet time with the Lord, and I just cried, and I said, Lord, I miss them so much. Like, please don't be mad. I just want to go back to smoking so I can be with them. Mm-hmm. And he was like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are they worth more than me?
Yeah.
And I was like, no.
Yeah.
And that was when, like, I'm grieving these friendships, the people I love, but I know I can't do what they're doing. And it was really hard. It was really, really, really hard.
That's one of the key things that pulls people back into relapse is community. The community they are grieving and that they miss, because those people you've bonded over trauma, you've bonded over your hurt, you've bonded over the deepest, darkest parts of your soul.
Right.
And suddenly
I just pulled out a tissue from my jacket. Ta-da! I felt it and I was like,
you're like, yes, tissue.
Where was this 5 minutes ago? Sorry, continue.
But yeah, you've shared the worst parts of yourself with these people, and suddenly you can't be around them.
And then suddenly they didn't want to be around me.
Yes. And
it was never said.
Yeah.
But you know.
Yeah.
You don't get the text anymore.
Yeah.
You don't get the, hey, come up and hang out.
Yeah.
Hey, come up and smoke. Hey, we're going to. And it was like the separation. It was really hard. And
it goes back to your issues with worth, with knowing your self-worth. Because your dad left when you were a kid. Your ex left. And now your people who you thought were your friends are leaving you too. And it was just that. As long as I've known you, that's always been the underlying theme in your story is self-worth. Everybody has their own underlying theme in their story. Sure. That one,
it's like abandonment and self-worth.
Yeah. And so, like, I remember when we were talking about that, we went on our walk and you were like, you literally said, like, am I not good enough for them or something like that?
Is
like
sober America not attractive enough? Is who I really am not enough for them?
Yeah. And that broke
Is stoner America what they love? Like, but what about Mimi?
Yeah. You said, I guess I'm not good enough for them.
Yeah.
Sober me is not good enough for them. And it broke my heart for you because I know you and I know your spirit. I know your soul. I know how, like, you are one of the most authentic, caring, beautiful people.
I love people so hard, and I feel like it's a gift and a curse.
Yeah.
It's
you pour everything you have into your friendships and into total strangers, anyone that comes into contact with you.
Right. Me and my Uber driver last night. Shout out to Dominique.
And so to see you hurting like that killed me. But I knew,
and I knew that they weren't doing it out of malice or like
No.
I don't even think they understood what was happening because they're not believers. They're dealing with their own life issues. So like, I was trying not to take it personal. I was trying to still see them how God sees them, but then I was dealing with like, it was just it was really confusing.
Yeah,
it was really painful and confusing, and I prayed about it a lot, just asking God to like put these relationships where He needed them to be, and for the like all the things, and so most of them started thriving again, in a better way, and my other friend ended up moving to our apartment complex too, and she's a beautiful woman. I love being with her. We go on long walks. She is going through her own sober-ish journey as well. And so we've really connected again. And I feel like that only happened because I truly was like digging into prayer about these relationships. And I could have been like, oh no, like whatever, like, like, you know, some people, their pride, like, but I was like, no, like I value these people. I value these women. Like, I want them in my life. So like, Lord, help me figure out what I need to do to be in their, like, how do we go about this? Because I want to fight for these relationships. And so the Lord kind of shifted some things. Some people went this way, some people went that way. But I think right now everything is the way it's supposed to be. Yeah. And so I'm at peace with where these relationships are. Yeah. And I have drank with some of these friends, but I haven't I didn't get like wasted. Yeah. For me, it's like to be honest, like I don't want to feel the feeling of feeling sick or like extremely dizzy. Like now that I know who I am, I don't want to be drunk and then turn into this other person. Like I value like my image and who I am now so much that like that stuff's not worth it. So I have had a couple drinks here and there. I haven't gotten drunk or anything, but when I relapsed a little bit, it made me be like, no, I really don't like this anymore. Yeah.
Sometimes that's what it takes.
No, but it's that one because I was scared, you know, after I did it, when I was doing it, I was like, I mean, I feel high, like this is like we're chilling, but then I was like, but we're not talking. Yeah. We're just sitting here.
There's no depth to it.
We're not. What do we talk about? We're just staring at the TV. Like it was like my soul was like craving those deep conversations, mental stimulus, like. My brain was not okay just being high anymore. Like, it was like, no, like, this is boring. And so then I was like, no, I don't like this. And maybe it was just, like, the environment I was in. Who knows? Whatever. But, no, I mean, smoking really it didn't do much for me the 2-ish times I relapsed in the last couple months. It was just, I did it because I wanted to be with that person. Yeah. And then afterward, I was like, I kind of feel really guilty about this. I don't like this feeling. Yeah. I don't really want to do this anymore. Like, so I will admit, I did smoke and have drank here and there in the last couple months, but I did go 7 months with 0. Yeah. Like nothing. And
everybody has their own opinion on sobriety, relapse, whatever. But I think, and I'm probably one of the most lax people out there. Yeah. I feel like you need to discover your own path, figure out what feels good, what doesn't. Mm-hmm. And I think that's when you finally determine what your life is going to look like and what your sober journey is going to look like. And I really think that for some people, it does take going back a couple times and being like, you know what? This is crap. Yeah.
I feel like that's how you know for me spiritually that I was delivered. Because I'm not finding satisfaction in it anymore. Like, that weird bondage is gone. Yeah. So when I smoked, I was like, I don't... Yeah. This is whatever. Yeah. I feel like if I wasn't delivered, I would be like, yes. And then do... Like, so I'm thankful that deliverance did happen because
Because it's like a night and day shift. Like, Dots, the bartender at Dots the other day. I ordered a kombucha because they have it on draft there. And my husband brings it over and I'm like, this is really dark. Did they change it? Because it's usually like a bright red, pink color. And I take a sip and it was the Cabernet because they have their stuff numbered.
Oh,
and
wow.
the Cabernet is one number above the kombucha. It's...
You drank a little wine?
I was like a sip and I was like, it tastes so bad. I can't even stand the way it tastes anymore. I like spit it back in the glass. My husband was like, okay, I'll take it because he drinks.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'll take it. And I was like,
yeah, like it's just not desirable.
Yeah, you just don't want it anymore.
No, and for me, I'll be honest, I do enjoy socially drinking.
Mm-hmm.
I do not like getting drunk anymore. The whole being sick, like I said, I don't.
Yeah.
If I don't want to do, I don't want to be that way. I don't want to do that. It's not worth the headaches. I mean, people that are younger, you'll see the hangovers. they get worse.
Yeah,
It's not a fun time. And like I don't have time for that. I have things to do.
Yeah,
I don't
you're
have
going
time.
places.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to be hungover on a Saturday or Sunday. Like I love being at church early, serving. I have things that I want to wake up and do. So for me, I'm not trying to get drunk. But I do occasionally, I'm okay with socially drinking, having a drink, and it be okay. And if I'm just being vulnerable and honest right now, I am having a bit of anxiety and fear for summer coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I will have a lot of time on my hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot.
Being real and honest.
And those friends will be, so I am a little worried about the drinking and smoking part. But I think if I set my eyes on, me and Joe, this has been our diary verse for the past couple months, is seek the kingdom above all else and everything else will be given to you in Matthew. I think that if I continue to just like push my walk with the Lord, like he's going to be with me. Like I'm not perfect. There might be some hiccups here or there, but I think I know who I am and what I want now. Yeah. So it's like, I need to give myself grace, but also stay on the path that I know I'm supposed to be on. So it'll be a balance. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. So what was I going to say? I was going to ask you something. I think it's important to give yourself the grace and to know that stumbles happen, but it doesn't mean that you can't get back up.
Right.
Oh, what I was going to say is a lot of people worry about the summer. They worry about freedom, like too much freedom. There's that fear of I'm going to mess up. But I think the important part is to surround yourself with the right community.
Yes.
And I posted about it on Instagram this week about how the right community is so important because the right community is going to keep you kind of in your lane. They're going to keep you, they're the bumper rails, in the bowling lane that keep you kind of in the center.
Yes. And without them, without mine, I would have derailed already.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's really important.
So what would you say, so kind of wrapping up, what if there was a girl, a guy out there like you, party girl, just seeking just looking for love in all the wrong places, like what would you say to her?
Gosh, I'm always going to point back to Jesus. That's where my heart is. That's where I found freedom. I would just say like all that stuff, like I said earlier, those highs of the loves you think are loves are going to come down and be lows real quick. And at some point you'll have to decide and make that decision. What are you going to leave behind to truly find a community, people to surround you with? Like at what point are you going to stop? Because you have the power to stop when you can. And I don't know why I want to talk about therapy right now, but seriously, like if you're struggling with sobriety or finding love in all the wrong places, like I highly, highly, highly recommend for you to get some sort of mentor.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like, regular therapy, Christian therapy, a friend that has walked through something similar who's on the other side. If you've never tried church, like trying to get plugged into a church community, like whatever it is, like I highly recommend finding some sort of mentor because we cannot do life by ourselves. We were not designed to do life by ourselves. And you're already worth so much, regardless if you think you're not. You are made beautifully in the image of God, and He has so much for your life. And I just know that when you're around the right people and you make those choices to step into the right direction, like, you will be highly favored and blessed. But we do have to take those steps and find the people, mentorship, whatever that looks like. Yeah. Highly recommend all of that.
all the things. Well, thank you for being here and sharing your story.
Thank you. This is